all my pieces of soap now, so I've cut my 4 pieces, and obviously this was the one that I pasted first, that's the one second, that's the one third, and that's the one fourth. So you probably won't want to paste 4 all in one go, but I'm doing it just for demo purposes so I can keep doing the demos. Now with my first piece, that's been soaking now for 9 minutes. And if you open it up, you'll see that you've got the 2/3 and the 1/3 fold. The key is to put it over your arm like that, so you've got the longer bit on the front and the smaller bit on the back. Then what you do, this is how to get up onto the steps as well and how to carry it. So up on your steps, still on your arm, so you hop up your steps, whatever you're using. Get the 2 corners, slide your arm out now. Get the 2 top bits, 50mm, but because this is vertical, you've got gravity, which is going to pull the paper down. It's quite heavy when it's got adhesive on the back. Sorry, I'll just move my hopper a little bit far away there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my boot out like that, and I'm going to let go. See these fingers here? I'm going to let go of that bit, and I'm going to let it drop, but I'm going to do it here, so the back's coming down low. Keep it away from the wall, don't go anywhere near the wall at this point, because what you need to do now is get your two thumbs here, 50mm, now they're going to go up to the curving. Look at your plumb line, look at your paper, straighten it up, and then move closely towards your plumb line. Okay, like that. Then, obviously, I've got my 50mm there, look. Put that in. Just, now what I'm going to do, because I've put plenty of paste on, I've got a bit of slip and slide. Right, top bits on, sorted. A smoothing brush, straight down the centre, to the top, and out to the sides. See, this has expanded further than I thought it would. Brush the air out, just tuck it into the top. There we go. So I'm finished with the top bit now. I'm not going to cut that yet, because you might cut the top. You've got 50mm, you might get to the bottom and think, oh, I've left it slightly too short. If I hadn't cut the top off, I'd have enough. So always put it on the wall first. So undo the bottom base piece, beautiful, and just check, popping it on your plumb line all the way down. Don't twist this paper, okay, just move it with a smoothing brush. If you try and twist it, what will happen is you'll end up just twisting the actual joint, and you'll just stretch the paper. Then just keep checking you've got the air out. Tuck it into the bottom. Right, now I know that it fits, so now I can trim. And because obviously, oh, I've got a spider, look. Because obviously I'm not going to paper onto that, I'm cutting right into the top edge. As I say, wood chip is one of the hardest papers to cut, because basically you're cutting through pieces of wood. So again, shears nice wide open, point them towards the line and cut. Every time it goes, that's because I've hit a bit of wood. If you try and do this with a knife and a board, it'll go just like the lining paper, it'll go pulpy. So remember, all your excess must be folded. Sponge and water, wipe away the excess paste first before you brush back. Now that's perfectly straight to the bottom. Just going to give it another wipe in case any little bits of paste come out. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same at the top now. I do find these trousers out as good as bib and brace. You've got all the tools. So up to the top, pencil, right into the corner. Now, because obviously it's awkward to do it that way, I'm going to follow the crease rather than the line. But be in control of these shears, because these little bits of wood want your shears to go off. Remember, the sharpest bit of your shears is down here. Into the corner, sponge again, clean that water periodically as well, it could get quite pasty. Into there, and then brush the air out and smooth it back. Right, because it's slightly round this corner, I'm going to trim that now, and because it's wood chip, like I say, it's one of the ones where you can't really go around the corner because it's quite lumpy. Whoops. So I'm just going to put the pencil all the way down, like this. Now this is probably one of the longest cuts you're going to do, and it's probably going to be one of the most difficult as well, because it's such a small piece. It gets a little bit bigger at the top. So, if I found a way, I'll speed up this bit. All them knocks you keep hearing are Gary walking into things, because he's trying to video me, but he's obviously not looking where he's going. Is that right, Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be scared about pulling it away from the wall. You don't want to fast forward this bit when you get to this bit in the video. I think it's must be about a minute long me cutting this bit. But basically I'm opening my shears nice and wide. Following the line. When we've done wood chip, as I said earlier, we're not going to paint it. It is difficult to paint, and it's also difficult to cut into, but we're not going to paint it just because of our time constraint. And if any of you have ever tried to strip wood chip, it doesn't like to come off once it's painted. So it's there. Again, always, because it's gone around the edge, and it's just wipe there. Just brush it back. So it's nice and tight into that corner now. I don't think we're even going to do this wall, because I find it's probably going to take us too long. Okay. So that's our first piece on. Well, I've got the second piece pasted. I might as well pop it on. So it's the same process. Dropping it down. This one I've got a socket. So as you all know, I'm going to do the envelope cut. So again, full piece over your arm, so you've got the top there. Up on your steps, get your two top corners, pop your boot there, your foot, whatever, because Because sometimes if you was let that go and it soaks too much, you'd end up with 2 little bits in your hand. Let go of your boat. Now, if you want to come on this way, Gary, we're going to offer it up to there. So we're going up to the last piece, so you've got to think of your 50mm at the top. You've got to think about putting the paper on straight. So there's quite a few things to think about. So that's not quite butted up because I've got plenty of paste on. I can just slide it towards it. So if it's any further, that's where you're going to stretch your paper. So the joints need to be butted up. So they're nice and tight. So that's on. Smoothing brush. Okay. Now we can't use a seam roller on this paper because it's a wood chip. What you will now need to have to do is just push it down with your brush like that. Make sure you've not got an overlap. If anything, a gap is better than a lap. So if you're going to have one defect, it wants to be the gap rather than the lap, because the lap is more noticeable than the gap. If you get creases in your paper, it's probably because you've overstretched it. And if you have little bits that stick up and you can't get them to go down, it just means that you need a little bit more paste on. Okay, so you can just come back to them and put a little bit of paste in. Right, so again, I'm going to do the envelope cut. I'm going to find all 4 corners. Go to the centre. Like that. Remember, this would be electricity if it was in your home or someone else's home, but in here they're just blank. Up to all 4 corners. I think the wood chip just sent me off a bit there, so let's try to do that one again. This is the thing about wood chips, they just make the shears go off in all different directions. Tuck it around, so I've released that pressure now, as you can see. Tuck it around, check your joint as well, so your joint still needs to be butted up. I'm not going too close to the socket, because obviously I need to wipe it. Wipe the face, the socket there, and then like that. Enough for the bottom. So don't try and do that with your pencil either, because you'll tear it. Just glide your pencil across. Now I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to draw into each of the internal angles on this socket. I'm going to take it away, but I'm going to leave a little bit on. I'm going to leave 5mm on each of them. That's going to allow it to tuck behind the socket. Remember, a key thing to put on your hands before this is barrier cream, because you're going to have your hands in paste and water a lot. So you'll need a little bit of paste in there. I'll do that before I go on to my next piece. Sockets sometimes go back. And just tuck it behind like that with your smoothing brush. Like that. Then I've penciled along here so I can cut this one. I know you'll all say to me, what are we hanging wood chip for? It's awful. But as I said, it's in the criteria. And it's probably because it's the most difficult one to hang. And it's cheap as well. I mean, it's good to practice with. matter if you guess it wrong, you've got plenty. There's no point starting with one of the finished papers. Right, so apart from putting a little bit of paste in there, I might just drag some off the back of this. Like that. That's done. No, it isn't. I ain't done the top. So I'm going to do the top. And then once I've done this top bit, I'm going to start on the chimney breast. The reason being, because it's easier to start in the centre of the chimney breast than it is trying to wrap it round from this side here. Okay, there. Then if Gary's feeling generous, he might pass from the sponge. Thank you. Make sure you wipe the curving, because your curving is going to be painted. If you leave paste on your curving, that's going to end up just going all gunky. Put all the air out. Don't go on to your next piece until you've checked that piece is done. Okay, so that's 2 pieces on with a butt joint. We've hung the first piece to a plumb line and we've cut round the socket again. So we'll leave that there and then I'll show you how to plumb the chimney breast.